Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope everybody's having an awesome Tuesday evening. I got a fun topic that's right up my alley tonight. We are discussing the United States nuclear triad. For those of you who don't know, the nuclear triad is our nuclear offense and defense. It consists of land, missiles, sea with submarines, and air with a wide array of aircraft that can deliver nuclear payloads. We're going to start with one of the most famous nuclear tests, the Castle Bravo test. We'll watch a quick video on it, get you in the mood for giant bombs blowing things up. And this is from the Department of Energy in Albuquerque. This Department of Energy has, just north of Albuquerque, is Los Alamos National Laboratory, one of the spots in which the United States used to develop the Manhattan Project, which included the nuclear bomb. So I've actually been out to Los Alamos. It was an interesting place and fun to go visit. And I've actually been to Oak Ridge, Tennessee as well, which was the other half of the development of the nuclear bomb. So, let's get right into saying hello to everyone, and then we'll get into Castle Bravo. Dog Mama, hello, hello. First the worst. Bad Daza. I'm great, buddy. I hope you're doing well too. That sucks. I hope you get better. I know, I waited for you. I was gonna go, and then I was like, Digger's not here, I can't start. And then as soon as I saw it, I clicked it. It's my story, I'm sticking to it. Jason J, what's up, buddy? Genitals, hello, hello. Jacob Castro, what's going on, man? Yeah, they really didn't know what they were playing with. Which is kind of terrifying that they had this kind of power, unbridled power, and just like, yeah, we don't know what the hell we're doing. What's up, Stingy? The SL1. Okay, I can add it. And then over on Rumble Ghetto, we have Jacob Castro and Bad Dazer. So, but yeah, let's Ghostry, hello, hello. So yeah, let's get into this video about the Castle Bravo nuclear test, because this is both one of America's biggest screw ups and one of the most impactful tests I think that we've done in a really long time. So, Department of Defense reviewers. So they took out anything that was classified. I don't know what the hell's still classified after Castle Bravo, and Lookout Mountain Laboratory. I'm going to do a lot of narrating because there's not any. So Bikini Atoll and a lot of the islands in the Pacific is where we did a lot of our nuclear testing, building, stuff like that. Bikini Atoll, we really kind of screwed. we made it largely uninhabitable, including a radiation dome full of highly radioactive nuclear material that is now leaking on the island. The dome was a temporary solution, and many service members, one, weren't told what they were working on. Two, became very ill because of it. Yeah, Bikini Atoll is hoop now. So you'll notice a lot of the individuals that worked on this bomb didn't wear shirts, which doesn't help. Does not help when you're talking about radiation, because then you're not blocking any. I mean, ideally, you could block a little bit of beta if you were wearing clothing, but largely they didn't. Mean hills have eyes was real? Potentially. So this is a facility that they built to hold this bomb. Because of course they wanted to measure a bunch of stuff, get a bunch of measurements and that kind of thing. So, shot cactus was used to make the hole to bury all that radioactive shit, I believe. Huh. We had a lot of radiological waste that probably could have been handled a lot better. I mean, certainly could have been handled a lot better. I think it's interesting that you see this spike in nuclear testing back in the day. And, there we go. It's Castle Bravo. Ghost Street probably is why boomers are messed up. See, you can see that radiation on the camera. All those little specks. I don't know why the hell it was just sped up chipmunk talk, but that is a massive explosion. Massive explosion. So one of the things that they medals for different scientific processes and things of that nature. There's a huge market for shipwrecks and stuff like that. Because they have metal that wasn't contaminated by the radiation. So you'll see background levels and different radioisotopes in all kinds of metals all over, because of all the testing we did during this time.
Dr. Gordon Dunning of the Division of Biology and Medicine of the Atomic Energy Commission to tell you of this.
The fallout was to the east and relatively heavy for several hundred miles. There were three main points of interest. Rongelap, 110 miles distant, with 82 natives. Rongerik, 150 miles, with no native population but 20 weather personnel. Uterick, 280 miles, with 154 natives. At Rongelap, evacuation was accomplished at H plus 51 hours. Many of the natives were sick.
2 days later.
Symptoms not unlike those associated with radiation sickness.
Hey, Daisy girl.
However, upon medical examination at Kwajalein, it appeared at that time that there was no evidence of radiation injury. The estimated gamma whole body dose was 100 to 125 Roentgens. If they had not been evacuated, they might have received as high as 340 Roentgens.
Huh.
On Rongerik Atoll, 8 men of the weather station were evacuated at H plus 28 hours. The remaining 12 were taken out at H plus 34 hours. The doses indicated by film badges, which are quite reliable.
It was Castle Yankee, Romeo, and a few others. Yeah, there were several campaigns for
the only film badge
testing.
In a group of 3 men registered about 98 Roentgens. From this, one may assume that all 3 received about this dosage. At Uterick, with a population of 154, the doses were considerably less than
what's
those
up, man, bro?
received by the natives at Rongelap. However, by evacuation, the radiation dose received by the natives was reduced from a possible 50 to 60 Röntgens to about 15 Röntgens. In all cases, decontamination of exposed personnel was carried out, and the radiation levels were reduced to an insignificant point. All of those exposed were taken to Kwajalein, where complete physical examinations were carried out. With each evacuation team sent in was a representative of the Trust territory. Every effort was made to assure the comfort and well-being of the natives. Radiation survey teams will be flown back to the
The
AO,
well-being.
at which time soil and water samples will be taken. Data obtained from evaluation of these samples will be very valuable in the Gabriel studies.
None of them had any personality whatsoever. Like the older generation, zero personality. So, we'll do a little bit of an overview of what the nuclear triad is, now that we've seen a nuclear test. And then we'll go into each one a little bit more. We'll do nuclear doctrine, the United States nuclear doctrine, and kind of go from there. So, Deez, I said hello to you, but hello, Deez. Deez helped me with some of the research to this topic, and it is very, very well appreciated. He's a great guy, even though he's Zelensky's cousin, nephew, sister, something. He's related to Zelensky, Slava Ukrainia, is what I heard. But he's a good guy. Thank you, Deez. Now that we've got all the ass kissing out of the way, can we get back to it, Deez? That'd be okay. So America's nuclear triad, what is it? So land, air, and sea. A compilation of platforms and weapons, the three legs of the U.S. nuclear triad, serve as the backbone of America's national security. And this is about as credible as it gets. It's from the United States Department of Defense, from the U.S. government. So you can't trust anything it says. Deterrence to prevent catastrophic actions from our adversaries, and they stand ready, if necessary, to deliver a decisive response anywhere, anytime. So it's broken into three distinctive categories: land, sea, air. From the land, responsive. So there's some embedded videos. We'll watch some of these too. More than 10,000 people provide up to 400 on-alert combat-ready LGM-30G Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, in hardened silos across 5 states. Oh, I'll get it after. Yeah, it was significantly bigger than they anticipated, and it caused serious issues. So, but that's part of a test program. You never know how it's going to react, and that's some of the worry with it.
Item 128, under closure door, open.
Item 129, first stage ignition, open.
And so that is their hype video for the land-based. So intercontinental ballistic missiles complicate enemy attack and capable of providing prompt, overwhelming response. The LGM-30G Minuteman III, up to 400 Minuteman III missiles make up the most responsive leg of the nuclear triad. So this one is part of mutually assured destruction. This is a counterstrike force. So if we're hit or about to be hit, he's going to be deployed incredibly quickly. They do have a good marketing campaign. And don't forget about the wokeness. So America's ICBM force has remained on continuous around-the-clock alert since 1959. Ground-based strategic deterrent program will begin the replacement of Minuteman III and modernization of the 450 ICBM launch facilities in 2029. So that's what they look like now. They're essentially a rocket, and then they carry a warhead. So the Minuteman is a strategic weapon system using a ballistic missile of intercontinental range. Missiles are dispersed in hardened silos to protect them against attack and connected to underground launch control center through a system of hardened cables. Launch crews consisting of 2 officers perform around-the-clock alerts in the launch control center. A variety of communication systems provide the President and the Secretary of Defense with highly reliable, virtually instantaneous direct contact with each launch crew. Should command capability be lost between the launch control center and remote missile launch center, specifically configured E-6B Airborne Launch Control Center aircraft automatically assume command and control of the isolated missile or missiles. Fully qualified airborne missile crew combat crews aboard Airborne Launch Control Center aircraft would execute the President's orders. No deal. So basically they're saying, so these E-6Bs, these are the planes that are command aircraft for our program if the White House went down or our continuity of government went down. They could still control them from there. Minuteman I was developed in the early 1960s, but now we're on the Minuteman III, so I'm not going to read a ton of this because we have it other places. They're made by Boeing. 79,432 pounds, 5.5 feet in diameter. So they're all from 1970, and they stopped production in 1978. So it just gives you an idea of how old these missile systems are. Yeah, I mean, we're talking 55 years. Hey, what's up, Bobby? 3 solid propellant rocket motors. First stage, ATK refurbished M55A1. Second stage, refurbished SR-19, and the third stage is an SR-73. So they just tested a Minuteman off the coast off Vandenberg Air Force Base, but they do still use floppy disks. Yes, last I knew. So, the range on these is about 6,000 miles, or 5,200 nautical miles, and they have a 15,000 mile per hour speed. So they're not nearly as fast as somewhere like Russia's. They can go about 700 miles into the atmosphere, and We have 406 active missiles. So that is the first leg of the nuclear triad. They hold 3 warheads apiece. Some experts argue that the United States no longer needs a land-based nuclear weapon system. I disagree. I think we need land-based for sure. I think it's dangerous to not have land-based in case something were to happen. Damn it, where did it go? So we got 2 videos that we're going to throw in here. That is, I just want to make sure that these are the 2. Yeah. So we'll watch launch procedure first. So that's going to be this one. So we'll finish up on ground and then we'll go to air and sea. But so this is the active launch procedure. This is still what happens up to today. There's plans to refurbish them and make it a better process by 2029, but that is 6 years away. So this is the way we're still doing it.
Lima, Alpha, Uniform, November, Charlie, stand by. Message follows. Lima, Alpha, Uniform, November, Charlie, stand by. Message follows. Lima, Oscar, Uniform, November, Charlie, Hotel, Tango, X-Ray, Sierra, Papa, Sierra, Victor, 2, 4, 3, Sierra, Foxtrot, Echo, 1, Tango, acknowledge, out.
Okay, copy. Okay, I see a valid message. I agree. Okay, go on to step 1 of the checklist. Launch keys inserted. Launch keys inserted. Okay, step 1, launch keys inserted. Start it.
Yeah, hang on. Doesn't want to go in.
Okay.
Holy shit, you gotta put it in the right way. So this is the procedure that they have to go through. And there has to be 2 officers in command for various tasks.
Yeah, hang on. Yep. Not yet. Ready?
BCGs. Well, those aren't the big frame glasses,
Okay,
though.
ready.
Those are
Okay,
just
step
thick.
1, launch keys inserted. Next step, function select switch to off. It is MRT CEP to MRT. MRT. Click A, 55 selected.
They need to buckle up because,
Okay, 55.
one,
Initiate
they could be
actuated
getting
clockwise.
hit
Actuated
with bombs,
clockwise,
and
pass
2,
one.
when
Take out the alarm.
the actual missile launches out of the tube, there's quite a bit of force.
Set.
Launcher select switch to all.
Set.
So it's to make sure that they can remain in their spot so they can hit these very specific
Papa.
buttons and times. They don't want them getting knocked over by a blast wave or something and then not being able to.
7.
Third element 7.
7.
Fourth element Papa.
Papa.
Fifth element 7.
7.
Or become incapacitated. Because you do need 2 people.
Papa.
Okay, read them back.
Papa 7, Papa 7, Papa 7, Papa 7, Papa 7, Papa 7. Do you agree?
Okay, I agree. Okay, enable switch set to enable.
Enable switch down and locked. Initiate switch actuated counterclockwise.
Actuated counterclockwise, 1001, release. Key turn at commit time. On my mark at the 15. Hands on keys, 3, 2, 1, mark.
So they have to turn those instantaneously.
Set the alarms. Okay. Okay, I've got launch in process on 2 sorties. Enable launch in process. Okay, got fault lighted. Fault out of security.
No, Bobby.
Security missile away.
No, we don't.
Weapon's gone.
They're just there for,
Launch in process on 6. Okay, missile away on 8, 9, 10, 4, 5, and 3. They're all gone. Okay, they're all gone, Deputy. That's it. It's all straight.
goodbye, America. And everything's on. Stop. Damn it. So that's how you launch them. This is the launch procedure from the other side. This is what it looks like. So it's a process. You get a code from the president. You have to verify that code. There has to be additional verification checks. Both keys have to be removed. Then it has to be inserted. So there's several layers of security. So there's not an accidental launch, and the order has to be given by the President of the United States. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want our president given that order. The keys to their hearts. So this is the launch of the Minuteman 30. So all that new tech and supercomputers in the movies that show military have are fake news. Yes, they are from the 70s, and they don't give a shit. The only computers that were worth a damn were the training computers. All right, so this is the launch on the other side. So this is...
The execution of nuclear weapons is responsibility of the
Northrop.
President of the United States. Upon receiving the President's direction, the combat crew goes through a set
So this is the same thing, it
procedures
just
necessary to
is
validate
explained a little
the
bit
message,
different
to
and shows the actual
authenticate its
launch.
origin, and then to begin to interact with the weapon system to enable it for the launch sequence, to target it on its directed objectives, and then the launch sequence begins.
Okay, I'm on the missile launch checklist on 3-98. Agreed. Step 1, launch key inserted, previously accomplished. Agreed. Step 2, targeting or launch option selected. Select from the launch main menu. Launch. Click A option selected, 0051.
0051.
This one looks like an
Okay,
updated
step 5,
one, D's.
alignment mode, enter Mike.
Mike.
Step 5 alpha, enter Sierra in the SIOP.
This is probably
NOLA field.
command, not
Sierra.
actually
Step
a
6, initiate key pressed.
silo.
Initiate.
Minuteman
Be it
3
required,
provides
not required
day-to-day
at this
deterrent
time.
for our country.
Holding step-
And so the whole idea is to create, as we did during the Cold War, a political and military circumstance that serves our ultimate national security objective, and that is our survival.
Step 17, all call enabled procedure required.
Agreed.
I'm there on page 3-103, launch menu from main menu selected, step 1.
Launch.
Enable from launch pop-up menu selected.
Selected.
All call enable from enable pop-up menu selected.
Selected.
Unlock code entered. Juliet, Papa, Papa, November, Kilo, Foxtrot.
I have Juliet Papa Papa November Kilo Foxtrot.
That's good. Enable switch down and lock.
It does have
Down
screens.
a lot.
That's crazy.
OID over to whiskey side.
Whiskey.
Step 6, initiate key pressed.
Initiate. I have successful enable co-op.
I agree. All call enable is accomplished. Moving back to launch checklist.
Agreed.
Step 18, in launch actions at this time, hands on keys. On my mark, 3, 2, 1. Mark. Hold
I have ELC message
Hello.
transmit.
and release. ELC message transmit. I agree.
All right, so they're covered, and that
Step
door
18
doesn't
is
need to slide
accomplished.
open.
Step 19, launch switch is back to code used.
Okay, we're waiting for LIP.
I agree.
Each combat crew is comprised of a commander and a deputy commander. They are typically company-grade officers, highly trained in this specific operational task and on this weapon system.
We got CES.
They have in their custody, and they have as their responsibility, the unique task of providing operational support, security, and the execution of a nuclear weapon system.
I have positive launch indications Alpha 02 through Alpha 11.
Spins to stabilize it. Oh, you see it there. Government contractors, Isabel. Mission accomplished. So, that is part of the nuclear triad. That's the land portion of the nuclear triad. Now, where are all these at? The breakdown of U.S. nuclear weapons. Hang on. I want to move to something where it's. Damn it! I know it's here someplace. Let's just go with this one. So, Maelstrom Air Force Base in Montana. That's what we could do. I just got a great idea. And everybody knows me, so next year, if we don't nuke the world before then, I'm gonna stop by most of these. Maybe take one home. Okay, so Maelstrom is right here in Montana. So this is the U.S. state of Montana. Maelstrom is kind of in the middle-ish of Montana. This is Canada up here. That's Calgary. Digger's somewhere in this general vicinity here. Not going to dox her hardcore, but she's somewhere in here. Iowa, Washington, California. So that's where 150 of these are located, of the 408. Well, there's actually 450 silos, but 408 active warheads. Minot is the other. Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota is another location. How come I don't have... Oh, that could be dangerous. Shit. So Minot... Okay, why do you hate me? There we go. So here's Minot Air Force Base. And this is in North Dakota, so middle of nowhere. We're even closer to Canada with this one. So we have North Dakota, this is South Dakota, Minnesota. Here's Canada. Here's Digger. I believe a couple of our viewers are in this general vicinity here. A couple of them are in this place over here. And then I'm somewhere in this section over here. But anyways, that's been out. There's also 150 silos there. And you can kind of see it on this map as well. But it's not a great map, so it's better. And then Warren Air Force Base. So Warren Air Force Base is in Colorado, Wyoming, and Nebraska. Kind of right in the middle of it. And that's also where 150 missile silos are. Now, supposedly that is all the ones that we have. I find that hard to believe. I don't think they would necessarily outright tell us everything about everything. But maybe they would. I don't know. Maybe they would. Most important is, are we nuke covered? That's not even English. But yeah. I don't know. We should be. Yes, this over here is Diggerland. See? I was right. Does Canada have nuclear weapons? I don't know if they do. I don't know if they have. I honestly don't know. I know we don't have the infrastructure that the European and Russian countries do. They have a ton of bunkers for their population. We have shit. So that is Warren Air Force Base, and there's also 150 ICBM silos located in that general vicinity. We had some in the 60s, 50s and 60s, but they've fallen into disrepair at this point. Russia does have significantly more nukes than the United States. I didn't think so. What's up, Gemini? All right. So it wouldn't be a show unless I showed you some new technology. So that's where most of them are. Again, I don't believe that they're all localized to those areas. I think we probably have more, because if I know this, then the Russians probably know this, and that seems like a bad program. So this is what they're developing now, which is a hypersonic scramjet, which Russia has. We don't have hypersonics, but the Satan II is a hypersonic from Russia, the missile they're currently threatening us with. Well, I know. Publicly available data these.
Defending our warfighters in contested environments requires speed, agility, and innovation. The advances we are making with hypersonic missile designs are pushing the limits of possible. Scramjet propulsion technology is one of the leading areas these advances are taking place, ushering in a new era for faster, more survivable, highly capable hypersonic weapons. Scramjet engines are designed to utilize the high speed of the vehicle that forcefully compresses the incoming airflow prior to combustion. This design enables sustained flight at hypersonic speeds of Mach 5 or even greater. Scramjet hypersonic weapons feature compact air-breathing engines, which
really
translates into a smaller form factor, allowing larger payload capacities for military aircraft and ships. With the ability of being launched from fighters, bombers, and naval vessels, our scramjet engine can be operated from many different regions, providing one of the longest-range offensive capabilities available. Scramjet hypersonic weapons travel more efficiently at low altitudes, and they can reach targets more quickly than traditional missiles. This allows them to potentially evade enemy defense systems. Our scramjet innovations advances speed, range, lethality, and maneuverability like never before, delivering the future of hypersonic technology to the warfighter today.
Thank you, Northrop Grumman, for that lovely presentation of yet another shit product you're going to sell the United States government. It's appreciated. It truly is. So I think that's pretty much it for our land-based. I'm trying to just read over notes and make sure. So the W-87 Warhead is what's on them. They can carry up to 3, but most of them only have 1. So let's see if we have a video of that, because that would be cool. Apparently the Los Alamos National Laboratory is making bombs yet again. So, just so everybody's keenly aware of it. Yeah. Let's see. B2 drops 80 JDAMs. We could watch that. I'm just looking for it's the only thing I can find on it, and I don't love it. I guess we could watch it. Why the fuck not, right? So, oh no, this is the new one. The 80 that will replace the 83. So, but I thought it was the B-87. We're not gonna watch that one because I feel like it would take too much time. But so that's the idea. They're a pretty common nuclear warhead. They're the pointy tipped is the best way to say it. That's kind of what they look like. So they're effective, they're reliable, and they're dial a yield. So they can put different yields of weapon. Hopes and dreams that cost billions of dollars. More than that. It's insane. Tacoma is toast, heavy military here. Yep. You're probably right, friend. You're probably right. Among many other places. There's a lot of viable targets that a country like Russia or China could hit with damn near impunity. And we'll get into a little bit of that too. Stop it. There we go. I hate how YouTube autoplays stuff when you bring it up. Just stop. Stop, YouTube. Nobody wants that. All right, so now we are moving on to from C. Yes. Their pointy tip to displace the heat so that they can be more aerodynamic and controlled better, and so they can get that spin for stabilization. So from C. So we'll watch this video, just like the other one. Ballistic missile submarines, or BUMAs, are undetectable platforms for submarine-launched ballistic missiles. They are on constant patrol with enough firepower to make just one boomer the 6th most powerful nuclear power in the world. So, these are Ohio-class submarines. They have a ton of nuclear ordnance on board and could do a lot of damage. And I think that's why you see a lot of E6s and you see a lot of sniffers and different things up in Vancouver recently, because Russians will probably come from a submarine if they were going to do any kind of attack. And I think that there are some that are on standby, but I believe most of them get loaded for mission critical. But I know there are some actively in circulation. This is probably the one that I have the least knowledge about, is the sea-based. Yes, Joe Boomer is in charge of the boomers. Just because I'm not terribly familiar with these, but yeah, we'll watch the DoD's hype video.
Up 160 feet. Maneuvering grid report.
NBC suits, nuclear, biological, chemical. So the nice part about those is they can hide basically anywhere. And there's not a whole hell of a lot anybody can do to find them. So, assure that we can strike anytime, anywhere, even after a surprise attack. The survivability gives national leadership greater flexibility in the decision-making process. The Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines. 14 Ohio-class SSBNs make up the most survivable leg of the nuclear triad. Their stealth design makes finding an SSBN almost impossible task, giving pause to potential adversaries. The Columbia-class SSBN program will begin to replace the Ohio-class SSBNs starting in the early 2030s. So, this is an Ohio-class sub. Doesn't look like much. It's incredibly advanced and carries a hell of a lot of missiles. So, there's a lot of power on board. The Navy's ballistic missile submarines, often referred to as BUMAs, serve as an undetectable launch platform for missiles. They're designed specifically for stealth and the precise delivery of nuclear warheads. Each of the 14 Ohio-class SSBNs can carry up to 20 submarine-launched ballistic missiles with multiple independently targeted warheads. The ballistic missile submarine's strategic weapon is the Trident II D5 missile. which provides increased range and accuracy over the now out-of-service Trident 1C4 missile. So, ballistic missile submarines are specifically designed for the extended deterrent patrols to increase the amount of time required for replenishment and maintenance. Ohio-class submarines have 3 large-diameter logistics hatches that allow sailors to rapidly transfer supply pallets, equipment replacement modules, and machinery components, thereby increasing operational availability. I don't know. The Ohio-class design allows the submarines to operate for 15 or more years between major overhauls. On average, the submarines spend 77 days at sea, followed by 35 days in port for maintenance. Each submarine has two crews, blue and gold, which alternate manning the submarines and taking them on patrol. This maximizes the submarine's strategic availability, reduces the number of submarines required to meet strategic requirements, and allows for proper crew training, readiness, and morale. So again, Trident 2D5. Now I sound like I'm playing Battleship. Trident. So we'll watch, oh, that's the Royal Navy. I don't want the Royal Navy. I want the Americans. So we'll go to that after, but we'll read. So these are the current in operation submarines: the USS Henry M. Jackson, Bangor, Washington, USS Alabama, Bangor, Washington, USS Alaska, Kings Bay, Georgia, USS Nevada, Bangor, Washington, USS Tennessee, Kings Bay, Georgia, Pennsylvania and West Virginia, Bangor and Kings Bay, USS Kentucky and Nebraska, both from Bangor, USS Maryland, Kings Bay, USS Rhode Island, USS Maine, USS Wyoming, and USS Louisiana. So they seem to be the two important areas. Oh, I was like, what the fuck? We're not there. Two important areas: Bangor, Washington, and Kings Bay, Georgia. One on each side. So, one on each side of the country, Atlantic and Pacific. So, for more than 6 decades, the United States has emphasized the need for a nuclear force that credibly deters adversaries, assures allies and partners, achieves U.S. objectives should deterrence fail, and hedges against uncertain threats. So that is your second leg of the nuclear triad. That is the sea portion. So this is the Ohio-class ballistic submarines. It's kind of terrifying that all of our technology is 50 to 70 years old, though.
We're looking for an opportunity here to make our way down towards the south. What's next?
I think this is the same DoD video, isn't it? Hang on. I grabbed the wrong video. Sorry. My apologies. Third leg is on us. Yes. So here's the video that I meant to play. I apologize.
The sea leg of the United States nuclear deterrent Triad is based on board the Ohio-class submarine. Being one of the stealthiest submarines in the world, the Ohio-class submarines represent America's ace in the hole. This submarine has megatons of nuclear firepower quietly patrolling the world's oceans. It is capable of erasing countries from the map all by itself. This is military mechanics, and in this episode, we will take a look at the Ohio-class submarines. As submarine-launched missiles were growing longer and wider, the US Navy's older submarines were physically unable to accommodate these new missiles. The Ohio-class submarines were the result of an early 1970s requirement for a larger missile submarine capable of carrying the next generation and beyond of submarine-launched ballistic missiles. Each displacing 18,750 tons submerged, the Ohio-class boats are the largest submarines ever built for the US Navy. The Ohio-class submarines were constructed from sections of hull, with each four-deck section being 42 feet in diameter. The sections were produced at the General Dynamics Electric Boat Facility, Quonset Point, Rhode Island, and then assembled at its shipyard in Groton, Connecticut. Ohio-class was designed to be 560 feet long, with a beam of 42 feet, enabling enough space for them to accommodate 2 rows of 12 Trident missiles each.
That's crazy.
Trident II, which is the latest iteration of these missiles, is capable of carrying up to 12 multiple independent re-entry vehicles, or MIRVs, each with a yield of 100,000. These missiles have a range of up to 6,500 nautical
Ohio's
miles.
the first one.
When in 1994, Nuclear Posture Review determined that the United States needed only 14 of its 18 SSBNs to meet the nation's strategic force needs, the remaining submarines were refitted with up to 154 Tomahawk TLAM land attack or tactical Tomahawk missiles. These submarines also became capable of conducting special operations missions with accommodation for Northrop Grumman Advanced SEAL Delivery Systems, or ASDS. The Ohio-class submarine is fitted with 4 533mm torpedo tubes with a Mark 118 digital torpedo fire control system. The torpedoes are the Gould Mark 48, which is a heavyweight torpedo with a warhead of 640 pounds that can be operated with or without wire guidance. Their range is up to 27 nautical miles at a speed of 40 km. As countermeasures, the Ohio-class submarine is equipped with 8 launchers for the Mark II torpedo decoy. Electronic warfare equipment is the WLR-10 threat warning system and the WLR-8V surveillance receiver. This undersea predator is aware. The Ohio class utilizes BPS-15A I-J-band radar for the surface search, navigation, and fire control. These vessels have Kellmorgan Type 152 and Type 82 periscopes. The sonar suite includes IBM BQQ-6 passive search sonar, Raytheon BQS-13, BQS-15 active and passive high-frequency sonar, BQR-15 passive towed array from Western Electric, and the active BQR-19 navigation sonar from Raytheon. Powered by the pressure water reactor GEWPR-68G with 2 turbines providing 60,000 horsepower and driving a single shaft, the Ohio-class submarines have a speed in excess of 18 km surfaced and 25 km submerged. This class was designed specifically for extended war deterrence patrols. To enable this heavy duty, each of these submarines is provided with 2 complete crews of 15 officers and 140 enlisted, called the Blue Crew and the Gold Crew, with each crew serving typically on 70 to 90-day deterrent patrols. This class has been in service since 1981, but its design allows the warship to operate for about 15 years between major overhauls. the Ohio class is to be replaced by the Columbia class, beginning in early 2030s.
So that is the specific boat, and here's just a quick video of the missile test from the Trident 25D, or D5. That's crazy. Big money. So it's just like a rocket. They're just carrying highly destructive nuclear missiles on them. So that was the nuclear missile test. So that brings us to our last, and probably the coolest, if you ask me, category with the nuclear triad. And I think that it's highly likely, because I'm kind of getting through stuff here, and it's highly likely I'll do another one on both defense and command and control, because there's just so much here, and I don't want to just, I'd rather break it up, because he sent me a bunch of shit, but didn't send it until 5 seconds before the show started, and then I was kind of screwed because I didn't get a chance to really read it. So we'll probably break it up into 2, which sounds like it would be a good idea. Then we could get into START, SALT, more in depth into nuclear doctrine, command and control, that kind of stuff. So that's probably how I'd do it. I mean, we're just going along, right? We're just figuring out as we go. So one of the things that I wanted to, well, no, that would give away. We'll cover that last. So here we go. So the third leg of the triad is, of course, the air leg. This leg is probably has some of the cooler things with it. There's several different planes they can launch, but there's 2 distinct weapon systems. One is the nuclear air launch cruise missiles, the ALCMs. They have guidance and they're highly accurate, so they're a good option. And gravity bombs, so dumb bombs you just drop out and they go boom, which require the plane to deploy them by the desired target. So, for example, B-52s can carry ALCMs. Yes, these needs to do better next time. And B-2 have gravity bombs. So the B2 can carry about 16 bombs. B61-7, B61-11, and B83-1. The B52 can carry about 20 ALCMs, like the AGM-86B. So they can carry a wider, more precise munitions and more of them, obviously. The B2 is stealth. It can also carry a pretty large payload. I mean, 16 is a lot of bombs. So, a couple of the things that they want to do in the long term, like many of the other programs, they want to develop a new gravity bomb, the B61-12, a long-range standoff weapon, which is kind of like that scramjet that we were looking at, and the B-21 Raider to replace the B-2s and B-52s. Good luck. And the F-35, they can't fly in light rain, is going to replace the F-16s as the nuclear capable fighter aircraft. Good luck. Good luck. So let's get back into DoDs. So here is the flexible from the air hype video. I think we should just get it over with and nuke Russia right now. To be fair, D's, I was just going to do the 3 stages of nuclear triad and then do CNC and break it up the other way anyways. But you're the one who's like, no, do defense. I'm like, maybe. So, video details. America's bomber fleet provides a range of both conventional and nuclear response options. So obviously they can carry conventional or nuclear weapons, consisting of 46 nuclear-capable B-52H Stratofortress and 20 B-2A Spirit aircraft. The nation's bomber fleet is the most flexible leg of the Triad, capable of providing massive firepower in a short time anywhere on the globe, even to the most advanced defenses. The B-52 Stratofortress, or the buff, or the big ugly fat fuck. That's what they actually call it. The B-52 is a long-range heavy bomber that can provide a variety of missions. It can carry nuclear or precision-guided conventional weapons with worldwide precision navigation. That's because we're the best branch. It's okay, though. The B-52 is slated to be in service beyond 2040, and we'll look at a breakdown of how long these things have been in service after this. Thanks, DoD, for just adding text on top of text. It's not like we can read that or anything. Let's see if it... Oh, that's why. Okay. I believe that it can still... Well, let me just check Rumble. Yeah, you can still see it. Okay. The B-2 B-2A Spirit. The B-2 Spirit is a multi-role stealth bomber capable of delivering both conventional and nuclear weapons. The B-21 Raider will first supplement, then eventually replace the B-2 beginning in the mid-2020s. The B-2 provides penetrating flexibility and effectiveness inherent in manned bombers. Its low observable or stealth characteristics give it a unique ability to penetrate an enemy's most sophisticated defenses and threaten its most valued and heavily defended targets. The B-2's capability to penetrate air defenses and threaten effective retaliation provides a strong, effective deterrent in combat force well into the 21st century. So, that is the B-2. So, we'll look at some, we'll look at some of those planes. So, this B-6112, basically what they're going to do is they're going to take the guts of the previous B-61 variants, refit them, repackage them, and replace non-nuclear components such as fuses and batteries. That's going to cost the United States Air Force about $8 billion to bring it up. It's scheduled to be completed by 2025 and last to 2045, which means they'll drag it out to 2065. So, the B series of weapons will have 4 yield options, or currently has 4 yield options. So 0.3 kilotons, 1.5 kilotons, 10 kilotons, and 50 kilotons. So they're dial-a-nuke options. Which means you can use it more on the tactical side, or you can use it to just level something. I think in the situation where we're using nuclear weapons, I think that you just dial them up to 50 and let them go. Yeah, dial a yield. So, which is kind of terrifying, actually. So yeah. So we'll get into some of that kind of stuff too. We'll get into some of the planes that are there. I want to go towards this portion of it though. And then I got something that I gotta show because these will get all pissy. So here's our nuclear handbook. The Ohio-class submarines were first deployed in 1981. Their original design life was 30 years, so they should have been replaced in 2011. Yeah, they did. They got new engines. Projected first replacement year is 20 years past that date. So before we start replacing submarines, they'll be 20 years past their design life. And they'll be about 42 years. So give or take. So and that will take our Minuteman III missiles, like I said, they were 1970 was when they were first deployed. They stopped making them in 1978. They were supposed to have a 10-year design. I have no idea how they're still operational because of the solid fuels. I know the ones that are supposedly in the desert probably have better survivability, but you're getting a lot of moisture in Minot and Maelstrom. I don't know how they still have good solid fuel because it has a shelf life. And that's the most terrifying thing is I don't know if our Minutemans are operational, all of them. I don't know. And I'm sure they check on them and all that kind of stuff, but can they be refilled? What's that? The Minutemans? They're solid, so they would have to replace the entire booster. They'd have to replace the whole. Because liquid fuel would be a pain in the ass. Frankly, because you'd have boil off. It would take time to fuel them. You wouldn't get them up as fast. With the Minuteman ICBMs, they did just test one, but we're talking about 52 years. 53 years. 53 years. With a 10-year lifespan. So no, not really. You would, with the solid boosters, you'd have to replace the entire thing. And who knows if it's, caustic or whatever the case is. So there's obviously better technology now. So, and their projected first year replacement was 2029. So they have a lifespan of 10 years, and we're going to have them in operation for over 60. Um, 1993 was our B-2A bombers. They were deployed in 93, and they are really kind of aircraft light. They don't get a lot of work. So, depending on flight hours and to be determined. So, it's about 35 years is what they think. We're 30 years into their life cycle. So, that's pretty crazy. AGM-86, 1982, again 10 years. And the earliest we're going to get to them is another decade. So, B-2A. Those are the stealth bombers. We'll go through the planes in just a minute. But, again, something that was supposed to have a 10-year lifespan, we're going to be pushing 50 if everything's on track. And then you look at something like the F-15E, which is their nuclear-capable fighter. 1988. That's the same year that the Great Meatwad was born. You might be right. So I was born the same year as the F-15. No set life, but they're still good planes, but they could be phased out and replaced. Russia's done a better job modernizing than we have, honestly, but maybe not. So the F-35, when they figure out how to fly it in the rain, will be available in 2024. And so they'll be in operation for about 40 years. So when a F-15 was a third-gen fighter, I believe. And now we're on 5th-gen fighters. So, yeah, our nuclear response is very old. Very, very old. And is in desperate need of replacement. So, we'll get into the fun stuff. So, this is the America's B-52. Oh, shit. America's B-52 bomber. It's a beautiful airplane. So beautiful.
One of America's most iconic bombers, the B-52 Stratofortress has managed to outlive its Cold War roots and is set to see service through the mid-21st century. The B-52 strategic bomber has its roots in a post-war procurement search for a heavy strategic bomber. Boeing, along with several competing companies, submitted dueling proposals. Boeing's candidate, a colossal straight-wing aircraft called the Model 462, went on to win the tender in 1946. The process stalled amid a prolonged series of negotiations between Boeing and the Air Force, with the latter expressing concerns over the proposed bomber's weight, speed, and bulky design. In the years that followed, Boeing churned out additional concept models that were lighter and faster, the initial design was eventually abandoned in favor of swept wings. It was only after 6 years, in 1952, that prototypes began to enter pre-production. By then, the strategic bomber was a thoroughly different plane from the early design concept introduced by Boeing in 1946. Powered by Pratt & Whitney J57P1W turbojets that were later replaced by the markedly more powerful P&W TF33P3 turbofans, the B-52 supports a payload of up to 31,500 kilograms and boasts an operational range of just over 14,000 kilometers without aerial refueling. The B-52 isn't particularly maneuverable or fast at a top speed of just over 1,000 kilometers per hour, nor does it need to be. Its primary purpose was to fly deterrence missions against the Soviet Union throughout the Cold War. In keeping with its raison d'etre, B-52 is prodigiously armed. Beginning with its H revision, the B-52 bomber's nuclear weapons capability was headlined by 12 AGM-129 advanced cruise missiles and 20 AGM-86A air-launched cruise missiles. The AGM-86A was theoretically able to overwhelm Soviet missile defenses with saturation strikes launched outside of Soviet airspace. The B-52 bomber likewise supports an exhaustive list of weapons for a wide range of conventional missions, among them, AGM-84 Harpoon missiles, Joint Direct Attack munitions, AGM-142 Raptor missiles, and AGM-86C conventional air-launched cruise missiles. Capable of delivering huge payloads at vast distances, the B-52 bomber quickly became a U.S. Air Force staple in the Vietnam War. The strategic bombers flew hundreds of combat sorties and dropped over 15 tons of bombs on North Vietnamese targets during Operation Linebacker II. More recently, the B-52 bomber distinguished itself during Operation Desert Storm. B-52s struck wide-area troop concentrations, fixed installations and bunkers, and decimated the morale of Iraq's Republican Guard. The B-52 bomber's greatest long-term strength has proven to be its flexibility, and nowhere is this more apparent than its remarkable ability to assimilate new weapons platforms. There are plans to upgrade B-52 bombers with AGM-183A hypersonic missiles as part of the U.S. military's response to Russia's recent strides in test-launching hypersonic cruise missiles. In addition to new weapons, the Air Force's fleet of 76 B-52s is slated to receive a raft of avionics and targeting updates to keep them relevant into the coming decades.
God, I hope so.
B-52s are currently being retrofitted with new data links and upgraded communication suites, as well as additional countermeasures and navigation features. Combining a remarkably resilient airframe with a modular design approach, the B-52 bomber will be among America's longest-serving aircraft when it eventually retires in the 2050s.
So that is the Buff, or the big ugly fat fuck. Here is its little brother. Well, this is its new cousin. No, we don't. No, we don't. So here's the B-1B. So we'll watch on this. This plane is so much bigger than I thought it was. I had never seen one of these anywhere on base or anything like that. I was very, very surprised when I actually saw one in person in Georgia. This is a huge plane. Massive, massive plane. So
Which U.S. aircraft can fly at night through mountainous terrain and as low as 200 feet without being detected by air defense systems? Which U.S. aircraft holds 61 world records for speed, payload, and distance? If your answer to these questions is no other than B-1B Lancer, then congratulations. You know your aircraft.
Compared to the B-52 is...
This is military
Massive,
mechanics,
too.
and today we will look at B-1B Lancer, aka the Bone. B-1B is a swing-wing bomber intended for high-speed, low-altitude penetration missions. With the largest internal payload of any current bomber, it is one of 3 strategic bombers serving the U.S. Air Force and has seen considerable active service during its career. Despite having all those exquisite qualities, it took more than 3 decades for this aircraft to join USAF. Do you want to know why? Well, here's the story. In the first decade of the era, the US relied on high-altitude strategic bombers. The improvements in Soviet surface-to-air missiles meant that the US's untroubled high-altitude flight paths were now very much in range of those missiles. So, an aircraft that would combine the Mach 2 speed of the B-58 Hustler with the range and payload of the mighty B-52 seemed like the answer. Although the Bone's story began with such determination, it would first have to deal with a formidable enemy who had shot down many promising planes: the politics. It was first cancelled by Robert McNamara, then revived by Richard Nixon when USAF awarded the contract for the B-1 bomber to Rockwell in 1970, only to be cancelled for a second time by Carter, and later saved by Ronald Reagan, as in January 1982, the United States government placed an order for 100 B-1 bombers for a total cost of $2.2 billion. Some major changes were made, which included an additional structure to increase payload by 74,000 pounds, an improved radar, and reduction of the radar cross-section by an order of magnitude. The inlet was extensively modified as part of this RCS reduction, necessitating a reduction in maximum speed to Mach 1.2. The B-1B finally flew on October the 18th, 1984.
They didn't use it much.
The United States eliminated the nuclear mission for the B-1 in 1994, and the conventional munitions upgrade program has been implemented in a series of block upgrades, which lasted until 2003, transforming the Bone into a more versatile and modernized weapon platform. The B-1B's blended wing-body configuration, variable geometry wings, and 4 General Electric F101 GE102 turbofan afterburning engines all work together to provide long-range maneuverability and high speed, while also improving survivability. The aircraft has swept wings, which means the wings point backwards rather than straight across. The wings are also adjustable and can be shifted from 15 to 67.5 degrees. The forward wing configuration is used for takeoff landings and high-altitude maximum cruise speed, whereas the wings are generally set in the aft configuration, with the wings closer to the tail during high subsonic and supersonic flights. The wingspan is 137 feet extended forward, 79 feet swept aft. The B-1B's synthetic aperture radar can track, target, and engage moving vehicles, as well as operate in self-targeting and terrain-following modes. The aircraft is operated by 4 crew: pilot, co-pilot, defensive systems operator, and offensive systems operator. The DSO station is equipped with the ALQ-161 defensive avionics system that detects and identifies the entire spectrum of adversary threat emitters before applying the appropriate jamming technique either automatically or manually, and a Honeywell multifunction display linked to the aircraft's offensive avionics system. The OSO station is equipped with 2 Honeywell multifunction displays linked to the OAS. The main computer on board the B-1B is the IBM AP101, which is also used on the Space Shuttle orbiter. It has a terrain-following system, which essentially scans the area ahead of the aircraft and provides pitch input to help the pilot hug the terrain as closely as possible, sometimes as low as 200 feet above the ground. With a weapon load of 37,000 pounds, the B-1B can fly 4,600 miles without refueling. The B-1B has a ceiling of more than 30,000 feet. During the first 6 months of Operation Enduring Freedom, 8 B-1Bs dropped nearly 40% of the total tonnage delivered by coalition air forces. Although B-1Bs only flew 2% of the sorties during the Operation Iraq Freedom, they dropped 2,100 JDAMs, or half the total expended. The Air Force is now planning to replace the B-1 and B-2 bombers with a Northrop Grumman B-21 Raider flying wing bomber, with the B-1 being phased out by 2036. The Bone will remain a lethal and versatile multi-mission weapon system through planned upgrades.
Don't steal my thunder, bro. Alright, so we have one more. Still 45 out of the 100 flying. That's cool, man. They're cool plane. So here's the last major option in our air nuclear triad. The B-2 Spirit. I think this is a beautiful plane. So patriotic from Northrop. Gorgeous. So majestic. So that's our stealth bomber. So B-2 Spirit. Beautiful plane. So that is our current. So what we're going to do now is we're going to... I don't feel like this map is accurate. Maybe we'll do it with a disclaimer. But we're going to go into the next generation of the third leg of the nuclear triad. Somebody wanted me to bring this up. The F-35, if they can figure out how to fly it in the rain without crashing, then it can carry nuclear bombs. So this is their new advanced fighter jet, the F-35 Lightning. They're trying to certainly get it to use different payloads for munitions. So, because again, we're using those F-15 Eagles to launch currently from aircraft. So that's something that I think they should definitely modernize and work on. here's another one that just released a couple days ago. This is a U.S. Navy weapon. And it is. Oh, it's so expensive. Oh, that's cool. They're so expensive to fly, and they need so much maintenance. Exactly. Nothing. I don't ever give advice. I think my banner's gone. Yeah. We good.
President George H.W. Bush ordered the removal of nuclear-tipped cruise missiles from American ships and submarines when the Cold War ended more than 30 years ago. Both major political parties in the United States were still realistic about the risks of growing nuclear arsenals. Bush's action was a wise one for maintaining nuclear stability. In 2013, President Barack Obama fully phased out nuclear cruise missiles. Recently, as House and Senate conferees began to iron out differences between the two chambers on a nearly $900 billion Pentagon spending bill for the next fiscal year, both the
crazy.
House and Senate Armed Services Committees
they
want
flew
to place
B2
a new
over
generation of nuclear-armed
a Michigan
sea-launched
game,
missiles known as SLCM,
and it flew over my house, University of Michigan game. And it flew over my house when it was going the other way.
Congressmen are voting
So
for
they're pretty
reintroducing
cool.
a costly and redundant nuclear program.
That's true.
Republican lawmakers in the House are adopting a measure to institutionalize the Sea-Launched Cruise Missile Nuclear, or SLCMN.
Sea-launched cruise missile nuclears would be
in last year's fiscal year 2023 budget and
pretty
concluded
impressive.
to have no battlefield use in the 2022 Nuclear Posture Review, or NPR. The Cold War-era concept envisages a cruise missile with a low-yield tactical nuclear warhead that can be fired from submarines, warships, or naval aircraft on a trajectory that makes it hard to track by radar.
And I don't want to steal too much of this guy's content. But so I just wanted to give you a quick overview. I think it would be very important that we're not going to develop hypersonics. So we need to develop something that can get in and be effective without too much interference. So, yeah, we don't have hypersonics. We're not. Russia does. We don't. So, every time you see a B2, just open your wallet and dump everything into it. Yeah. They're incredibly expensive upkeep. So, speaking of incredibly expensive, here is the last part. So this is supposed to replace most of our air systems, the B-21 Raider, and this is a damn sexy plane. It's a B-2 Stealth 2.0. So. We'll learn a little bit about this. This is still in development. It's nowhere close to being done. I don't know. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm seeing 2025. Yes, Russia also has Poseidons that they want to use for multiple different things. One of which being their Typhoon deal, but also they can. They're just another way that they can hit us. And that's why a lot of our E6s and stuff have been up. That's why a lot of planes have been looking for nuclear submarines off the coast, because that would probably be their most effective way to get in quickly. So, but let's learn about this beautiful little. I don't know. It's white. 25 or later. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, probably later.
More in common with the YF-23 Grey Ghost than you might think. Last week, the Air Force released 2 new photos of a B-21 Raider to the public. Shrouded in secrecy, the B-21 was officially unveiled to the world back in December and has been called the future backbone of the bomber fleet, especially since the Raider is capable of carrying both conventional and nuclear payloads. With a minimum ask of 100 examples, the Raider should start deploying to its primary operating base in the mid-2020s. The Air Force hopes that the eventual size of the B-21 fleet will number over 200. Therefore, it is easy to understand that Northrop's new bomber will play a significant role in the U.S. strategic arsenal. Everything about the Raider has been designed with future expansions in mind, from its open architecture software code to the modular construction methods that are being used. These latest photos clearly show a much lighter coating than we had previously seen in other stealth aircraft. Let's take a deeper dive into what we can learn from these photos. For starters, the image taken from above the Raider shows us the overall layout of the bomber, which is what the B-2 Spirit would have likely resembled if the added requirements for low-level penetration were not forced midway through its development. If you recall, the B-2 was initially designed to fly at very high altitudes, but then the decision was made to include low-level penetration capabilities. This caused the designers to add extra control surfaces and reshape the wing to the sawtooth configuration.
China already knows. They already know all this.
These changes came at a penalty to how high the B-2 could fly, along with a less stealthy...
The bullshit is, some of these parts that the major contractors between Lockheed and Boeing and Northrop are making, they're sending actual parts to China to be manufactured for our military aircraft. So they already know. But I get it. I'm worried about it too.
Profile, especially from the rear of the aircraft. However, based on these photos, that does not appear to be the case for the B-21. This means that the Raider should fly at much higher altitudes, likely well over 60,000 feet. Another interesting feature revealed from the photos are the air intakes, which appear to be deeply recessed. This is significant because one of the biggest penalties to radar cross-section or RCS are turbine fan blades found in aircraft engines. These fan blades are vertical to the direction of travel and make for a highly reflective surface for radar waves. As a result, aircraft designers go to great lengths to hide these fan blades from view, usually by installing S-shaped ducts to direct the airflow towards the engine. One example of this is the F-35's dual intakes, which feed the single engine in the center of the jet. There is practically no way to see the Lightning's fan blades from almost any angle as a result, greatly reducing the RCS. However, since the Raider is a dual-engine bomber, each engine requires its own intake. From the photos, we can see that these intakes are very recessed and appear to be covered by removable intake covers. Along with these recessed intakes, we can see a slight hump at the forward lip of the intake, which is similar to other diverterless inlets found on other aircraft. Why is this important? Well, one of the challenges in designing modern military aircraft is solving the boundary layer problem. As an aircraft moves through the air, a boundary layer of air attaches itself to the body of the aircraft that moves along with it. If this layer of air enters the intake of the engines, it can negatively affect performance. In the past, aircraft...
So that's based on realistically, a president could do that. It's more based on the defense contractors and their willingness to sell everybody out to make a buck. I think we stopped giving Lockheed, Boeing, Northrop, Raytheon, stop giving them these sweetheart deals and contracts, and that stops that really quick. But so there's an interdependence. Boeing and Northrop, Raytheon, Lockheed, they're all entirely dependent on the United States government. But as we see in spaceflight, the United States government also is heavily dependent on them and can't penalize them or punish them, because then they just say, oh, well, to hell with it. We're not going to make you any more F-35s. And then you're like, oh, shit. Well, we just poured billions into this program, blah, blah, blah. So the defense contractors are so deeply embedded that it's incredibly difficult for us to hold them accountable in any way, because they just cut off our JDAMs, or they cut off, this, or they cut off ammunition, or they cut off replacement parts for for the F-15s, or they make these planes so that they need so much maintenance and so much work and so many parts. And some they have incredible stresses on the aircraft, and of course they need new parts. But in most, they're made for recidivism, for you to have to keep coming back and spending more money, and that's kind of. I don't think they're as incompetent as everybody thinks that they are. Make it where all the parts have to be made in the U.S., but the contractors have too much power. Exactly. And that's all you need is a contractor to just say, you know what, fuck it, we won't make anything here anymore. Or we won't make anything for the government. And the government would have to fold very quickly, because we are just far, far too dependent on the defense contractors. And the defense industrial, what's the word I'm looking for? The defense industry. Let's just go there. The defense industry is complex. Defense industrial complex is so deeply embedded in our politicians and our government that, frankly, we can't live without them. We would be. Thank you, Andrew. I was getting there. We would be screwed without them, and frankly, they'd be screwed without our money, because they're selling some to, Taiwan or a European country or whatever, but it's not enough to sustain the size of the company.
Aircraft designers use splitter plates to separate the boundary layer air from the fast-moving free airflow. Generally speaking, more air into the engine equals higher performance. Alright, pause the action. Interestingly, the F-22's intakes use a form of splitter plates offsetting the intakes from the fuselage, which is not great for stealth. So to offset this, the Raptor uses radar-absorbing materials along with composites in these areas. Yet, when it comes to stealth, there is a better solution than splitter plates: diverterless inlets. This is usually a bump near the intakes and can be seen on the F-35 Lightning. And get ready for this, there's another method. In the case of the YF-23, gauzing panels were installed in the fuselage just ahead of the air intakes, which, along with a pair of small doors on the YF-23's upper surface, removed the boundary layer air. This system was automatic and was called the Boundary Layer Control System. Today, similar features can be found on the Eurofighter Typhoon splitter plate and even on the FA-18 Super Hornet. Given that these gauzing panels were featured on the YF-23, a Northrop design, we can speculate that the B-21 could make use of both an intake bump and gauzing panels to control boundary layer airflow. This could also explain the use of a smaller bump than as seen in previous aircraft designs. One more note about intakes. For comparison, the B-2 Spirit uses serrated driver plates, which would not be as stealthy as what we have seen on the B-21. Keep in mind that the B-2 is an incredibly stealthy aircraft, so these enhancements that are being incorporated into the B-21 should make it an incredibly low observable airplane. Another thing we can notice from these photos are the B-21's cockpit windows, which appear to be designed to eliminate seams and joints to further reduce its radar cross-section.
Yeah.
This brings us back to the overall appearance of the Raider. During the reveal back in December, it was hard to tell if the Raider had a lighter coating than usual, or if the lighting in the hangar was causing the skin of the airplane to appear brighter than it was. These new photos convincingly show that the aircraft color is a white or a very light gray. Lighter coatings have been making appearances on several stealth platforms recently. Over the past year, F-22 Raptors, F-35 Lightnings, and even F-117 Nighthawks have been spotted with chrome or mirror-like finishes. I've done videos on these configurations. I'll leave links in the description below. These coatings are likely some form of counter against passive tracking systems such as infrared search and track or IRST, which some claim can also detect stealth aircraft better than traditional radar. And while the coatings seen on the B-21 are not chrome, they are likely an evolution of what has been tested and represent the latest in radar absorbing material technology. Another reason for the white coatings could be an old one. For decades, some strategic bombers have been painted in anti-flash white. The thinking is that the white color is to reflect at least some of the thermal radiation from a nuclear explosion, thereby protecting aircraft and crew. There also could be anti-EMP components involved as well. One last thing regarding the lighter coatings, while there are numerous reasons for them, aviation enthusiasts such as myself can't help but wonder if this is also a subtle shout out to the YF-23 Gray Ghost. Your thoughts? Comment below. So far, in both the B-21's reveal in December and the photos released last week, we've only seen the front of the Raider. What about the rear of the aircraft? It turns out that an aircraft exhaust systems are one of the most closely guarded secrets of the Raider, and even of the 30-year-old B-2 Spirit. In fact, if you're taking pictures of a B-2 in an Air Force base, you are prohibited from taking pictures of the back of the airplane. Just don't do it. The B-21 Raider represents the latest in American technology and innovation, and carries with it the strategic vision of the United States and her allies. As we learn more about this incredible aircraft, I'll continue to make videos to keep you updated. And finally, it appears that the Raider is being produced at Northrop's Palmdale facility at Plant 42. I'm sure it's just a coincidence, but some of you will appreciate the interesting choice of the number 42. If you do, comment "Thanks for all the fish" below. If you enjoyed this video, unstealth that subscribe button and mash the bell so you don't miss a video when it comes out.
Oh, shut up. Nobody wants to hear that review. So, that is the B-21 Raider. Radar. Pretty plane. Beautiful, beautiful plane. Oh, I had one more. So this is allegedly an up-to-date estimated global nuclear warhead inventories 2023. I think it's a little low for Russia. I think they're giving them a little bit too much credit with SALT and START, which they've abandoned. So as you can see, the United States has about 5,200 warheads. And we're still reducing our stockpile. We're decommissioning a lot of warheads. So, the UK has 225, and they're about to get some American warheads to go with their original warheads. France has about 290, and that number hasn't changed much. Israel has 90. Pakistan has 170. India 164. China, I feel like, probably has more than 410 at this point, because they've been in production. North Korea, I don't buy that they have 30. That work, they probably have like 6. And then we have the leader in the clubhouse, Russia, with 5,889 nuclear warheads. Half the U.S. nukes are expired. That's true. That's true. So this is just a colored of the same thing. Colored image of the same thing. Shut up, you assholes. I know what you were about to say. So this is how they have them break down. So this isn't active either. So Russia has 1,400 retired. The United States has 1,536. There are 1,938 non-deployed, 2,815 non-deployed. Okay. Deployed strategic, 1,674. So this is the important number. How many are ready and deployed? The United States, we have just about the same number and deployed non-strategic. So we actually have a little bit more deployed than Russia. And then you have countries like China who have none supposedly deployed. And then countries like France who have all of theirs deployed. So, you know, North Korea didn't even get a line. So yeah, there's and this is just more of the military stockpile, total inventory. This is just a further breakdown. There's still a lot of nuclear weapons in existence. A lot. Brian's here in spirit, so it'll be okay. And as we can see, global nuclear warheads have went down considerably. We peaked at nearly 70,000, which is a lot. Enough to kill the world about 1 million times over. And that gets really expensive. So here's the Russians total and the United States. So as you can see, we've done some work to reduce many of them. What did you do to Brian that he's in spirit? I was told not to admit my crimes on the internet. So I plead the fifth. But yeah, so that is how many nuclear warheads are around. So I think that we obviously have a lot that we need to work on and developing and making new. Don't start the Justice for Brides yet. We have a lot of equipment that desperately needs an upgrade. A lot of equipment that needs renovation. And I don't think we're as prepared as we'd either like to be or would be conducive to our defense. So that's another reason why I'm wildly concerned about Russia and their nuclear. You guys are dicks. Yes, our president needs to be upgraded significantly. But all right, y'all. I streamed a bunch today. I'm tired. I'm going to stream tomorrow. I think this is the way I'm going to do it. There is a second GOP debate tomorrow. It's probably going to suck. I'm very well aware of that. But I'm going to cover that live. And then we will go into President Donald Trump's speech after in Commerce, Michigan. Because I don't know if I'm going to make it up there. Unless I go up there. So we'll see. But it's highly unlikely because Joe pissed me off today. But sounds like there could be great jobs created to update everything. Absolutely. You dicks. Joe only pissed him off today. Yes. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be for me this afternoon, evening. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening. And I will catch you tomorrow for the second GOP debate and President Donald Trump at the Union Building giving his speech. So that's the plan. That's where we'll go from here. Thank you, and I will catch you very soon. Have a good night.